after I terminated Jessica for embezzling $75,000. She claimed harassment and hired the most expensive lawyer in the city. "You'll regret this," she texted me. "I have evidence that will destroy you." I calmly replied, looking forward to seeing it. "My name is Titan Blackwater. I'm 45 years old, and I own Crimson Industries, a commercial real estate development company based in Miami, Florida. What started as routine financial irregularities turned into the most complex case of corporate fraud I'd ever encountered. Not because the theft was sophisticated, but because the cover-up revealed something far more dangerous. Mr. Blackwater, we need to discuss Jessica Ravencroft's employment termination," said Orion Steelworth, calling from his downtown law office. His voice carried the practiced authority of someone accustomed to intimidating smaller businesses. "I'm listening," I replied, though I already knew what was coming. "My client has retained our services regarding what she describes as a pattern of workplace harassment culminating in wrongful termination. She's prepared to file both civil and criminal complaints unless we can reach an amicable resolution." I sat back in my chair on the 30th floor of Platinum Plaza, looking out over Biscayne Bay. Jessica had been my director of finance for 3 years, someone I'd trusted with significant responsibility, someone who'd apparently been stealing from the company while building a case for harassment that didn't exist. "What kind of resolution are we discussing?" "Complete reinstatement, back pay, and substantial compensation for emotional distress. My client has documented evidence of inappropriate behavior spanning several months." "I'd be interested to see that evidence." "I'm sure you would. We'll be filing formal charges within 48 hours unless we hear from your counsel." After Steelworth hung up, I called Phoenix Goldmain at Ironclad Legal Group. Phoenix had handled corporate law for Crimson Industries since I'd founded the company 8 years earlier. "Titan, I heard about Jessica's termination. What's the harassment angle?" "Completely fabricated. She's trying to turn embezzlement into discrimination to avoid prosecution." "Walk me through what you found." Over the next hour, I explained how our quarterly audit had uncovered systematic fund transfers from client escrow accounts. Small amounts at first, then larger sums as Jessica grew more confident. The total reached $75,000 before our forensic accountant, Sage Moonstone, identified the pattern. "Phoenix, she was clever about it. The transfers were always under reporting thresholds, spread across multiple accounts, timed to coincide with large property transactions when cash flow made detection difficult." "And you have documentation?" "Complete audit trail. Bank records, transaction logs, digital signatures. Sage has everything ready for criminal prosecution." "Then why the harassment claim?" "Best defense is offense. She's trying to make this about my conduct rather than her theft." That evening, I received Jessica's text threatening to destroy me with evidence. My calm response apparently surprised her because 37 missed calls appeared on my phone over the next 2 days. None from Jessica directly, but from numbers I didn't recognize, hang-ups and heavy breathing when I answered. Echo Silverwind, my younger brother who worked in construction management, stopped by my office that Thursday. "Titan, something's wrong with your security system. I was here late Tuesday and saw someone trying to access the building after hours." "What did they look like?" "Couldn't see clearly, but they had a key card that didn't work, kept trying different doors." I checked with building security and discovered someone had attempted to use Jessica's deactivated access card multiple times over the past week. More concerning, they'd tried accessing the parking garage where our document storage was located. Subscribe to see what Jessica was really planning. Friday morning, I called Storm Nightblade at Shadow Strike Investigations. Storm had helped me with background checks when Crimson Industries was expanding rapidly, and I trusted his discretion. "Storm, I need surveillance on someone who's escalating harassment after being terminated for embezzlement." "How serious are we talking?" "Attempted break-ins, threatening communications, false legal claims. I think she's planning something bigger." "Send me her information. I'll start monitoring immediately." Storm's first report arrived that afternoon. Jessica had been meeting regularly with someone at expensive restaurants around Miami, always paying cash, always in locations without security cameras. More interesting, she'd been photographed entering a storage facility in Crystal Bay twice that week. "What's in the storage unit?" I asked during our phone briefing. "Can't tell yet, but she's spending significant time there. Also, your instincts about escalation were correct. She's been asking questions about your personal schedule, your home address, your family." That information made my decision easy. I contacted Vega Shadowheart at the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. "Agent Shadowheart, I need to report systematic embezzlement that's now evolved into potential stalking and intimidation." "How much money are we discussing?" "75,000 confirmed, possibly more. But the concerning part is the post-termination behavior. Attempted break-ins, surveillance, threats of false criminal charges. Send me everything you have. If this involves federal fraud statutes, we'll investigate immediately." Vega's team moved quickly. Within 3 days, they'd confirmed that Jessica's embezzlement crossed state lines through wire transfers, making it federal jurisdiction. More importantly, they'd identified the man she'd been meeting with. "Tyler Morrison," Vega explained during a secure meeting at their field office. "Former boyfriend with a history of corporate extortion schemes. They've been planning this for months." "Planning what exactly?" "Based on surveillance and communication intercepts, they intended to steal sensitive client information during the break-in attempts, then use both the theft and false harassment claims to extort a substantial settlement." "How substantial?" "Initial demand was $2 million to avoid public scandal. If you'd refused, they planned to release fabricated evidence to your clients and the media." The scope of the conspiracy was staggering. Jessica hadn't just been embezzling money. She'd been documenting client information, copying confidential contracts, and building a database of sensitive material that could damage Crimson Industries' reputation permanently. "Agent Shadowheart, how close did they come to succeeding?" "Very close. If you hadn't involved law enforcement when you did, they would have had everything they needed to destroy your business." Tuesday morning, I was reviewing construction permits in my office when Phoenix called. "Titan. Steelworth just contacted me. His client wants to meet immediately to discuss withdrawing all claims." "What changed?" "He didn't say, but his tone was completely different. Panic, not confidence." The meeting took place that afternoon in Steelworth's conference room. Jessica sat beside her attorney, looking pale and nervous. Gone was the confident woman who'd threatened to destroy me. "Mr. Blackwater," Steelworth began carefully, "there appear to have been misunderstandings regarding my client's allegations." "What kind of misunderstandings?" "She's prepared to withdraw all harassment claims and accept termination for cause. In exchange, we're hoping you'll consider not pursuing criminal charges for the financial irregularities." I looked at Jessica directly. "What about the evidence you claimed would destroy me?" She couldn't meet my eyes. "There was no evidence. I was angry and said things I shouldn't have." "And the break-in attempts, the surveillance, the extortion plan with Tyler Morrison?" Steelworth's face went white. "I don't know what you're referring to." Phoenix slid a folder across the table. "FBI surveillance reports, federal fraud investigation, conspiracy charges being prepared. Your client isn't just facing termination anymore. She's facing 15 years in federal prison." The meeting ended quickly after that. Jessica signed documents admitting to embezzlement and withdrawing all harassment claims. "In exchange, didn't she?" "I agreed to cooperate with federal prosecutors rather than pursue separate civil litigation." 3 weeks later, Jessica Ravencroft and Tyler Morrison were arrested on federal conspiracy charges. The evidence Storm and the FBI had gathered showed they'd run similar schemes against 4 other companies, stealing over $300,000 total. "Titan, you avoided a bullet," Phoenix explained after the arrests were announced. "If they'd succeeded with the extortion, Crimson Industries would have lost several major clients regardless of whether the harassment claims were true." "How do you fight something like that?" "You did fight it. You investigated thoroughly, documented everything, and involved law enforcement before they could execute their plan. 6 months later, I was testifying in federal court about the impact of Jessica's embezzlement on Crimson Industries. The judge was particularly interested in how the conspiracy had been uncovered. Mr. Blackwater, what made you suspect this was more than simple employee theft? The harassment claims came immediately after termination with no prior incidents or complaints. It felt calculated rather than genuine. And that led you to investigate further? It led me to protect my company and employees from what turned out to be a sophisticated extortion scheme. Jessica received 8 years in federal prison. Tyler Morrison got 12 years for orchestrating multiple similar conspiracies. Steelworth faced disciplinary action from the state bar for not properly vetting his client's claims. The most satisfying outcome wasn't the criminal convictions. It was the letter I received from another business owner whose company had been targeted by the same scheme. Mr. Blackwater, your testimony helped us understand what was happening to our business. We are now cooperating with federal investigators and expect to recover most of our losses. Thank you for standing up to these criminals. 1 year after Jessica's termination, Crimson Industries had grown by 40%, adding 3 new commercial developments and expanding into the Orlando market. The attempted extortion had actually strengthened our security procedures and client relationships. Echo stopped by my office on the anniversary of Jessica's arrest. Titan, I've been thinking about what would have happened if you'd just paid them off. They would have come back for more and other companies would have been victimized. Exactly. Sometimes the right thing and the smart thing are the same thing. That evening, I drove through Crystal Bay past the storage facility where Jessica had planned her scheme. The building was still there, but under new management with better security procedures. I thought about her text threatening to destroy me with evidence that never existed. About the 37 missed calls when she realized I wasn't going to be intimidated. About how confidence in your own integrity becomes the best defense against false accusations. My phone buzzed with a message from Vega Shadowheart. New case involving similar corporate extortion scheme. Need expert testimony about how these conspiracies operate. I pulled over and typed back, available immediately. Some lessons are expensive but necessary. Jessica had taught me that employees who steal money often steal trust, reputation, and peace of mind as collateral damage. But she'd also demonstrated that truth, properly documented and legally defended, ultimately prevails over even sophisticated deception. The harassment claims had been designed to make me doubt my own judgment, to second-guess every interaction, to settle quickly rather than fight publicly. Instead, they'd revealed exactly how calculated and dangerous Jessica's entire approach had been. 2 years later, I was speaking at a business security conference about corporate fraud prevention, when someone asked about dealing with false harassment claims. The key is documentation, I explained, not just of the misconduct you discover, but of every interaction, every communication, every decision. Truth becomes your strongest weapon when someone tries to weaponize lies. After the conference, a young business owner approached me. Mr. Blackwater, I'm dealing with something similar. Employee theft followed by discrimination claims. How do you stay confident when everything feels like an attack? I thought about Jessica's confident threat to destroy me, about those 37 missed calls, about the moment in Steelworth's conference room when her entire scheme collapsed. Remember that people who lie about big things usually lie about small things too, I said. Their stories don't hold up under scrutiny. Your job is to provide that scrutiny professionally and legally. And if they have expensive lawyers? Truth is more expensive than lawyers, but it's also more powerful. Document everything, investigate thoroughly, and let facts speak louder than threats. That night, driving home along Biscayne Bay, I realized something important about the entire experience. Jessica's scheme had failed not because I was particularly clever, but because I'd refused to let fear override judgment. When someone threatens to destroy you with evidence they won't show you, the appropriate response isn't panic, it's curiosity about what they're really hiding.